Alright, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'altahu sahla wa anta taj'alul al-hazna idha shi'ta sahla, Allahumma a'inna ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik. Ya Rabbil Kareem, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Right, folks, I hope you are well, and we are...
Sorry, urgent delivery from across the pond. And you have to demonstrate it as well, is the request.
To be honest, as long as it's not sweets and chocolates here, then...
No chocolates.
I just seen uncle there come back from Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum. Are you okay, uncle? Yeah? I'd get up, but honestly, getting out of this chair is very difficult. Oh, Lama. Yes, mashallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward that man. Honestly, check this out. Guys, I'm getting old now, alright? So plants have to, I know exactly what this is.
Is it edible?
No, it's not. It's not edible. Don't be disappointed. It's not edible, but it's super useful. Listen, guys, you know when you give gifts, yeah, mashallah, Allahumma barik. You give something which is useful. This, yeah, is a game changer. Yeah, it's the exact one that she had. See that? Right. I can't give a proper, but you know what this is, isn't it? It goes like, to be honest, she went like, something like that, whatever. Yeah, obviously, I can't. Yeah, alright, there you go. Ish. Maybe. No? Okay, that didn't work. Anyway, my demonstration skills are not great, but it goes something like...
You don't get double QVC.
Not my natural skill, is it? Alright, I'm not gonna break it, but basically you throw it out, obviously I'll practice it a few times, and then you can just sit there, and then, obviously because I don't speak for long enough, now I can. Now I can give proper reminders now, yeah? So when you get tired, then we can then do a proper behavior. Because they said in the programs I don't speak long enough. Uhud, they said it's too short.
You'll kill everybody on
Uhud, 1 hour, 10 minutes, yeah, and I thought, now I've got my thing of Kursi, now we can talk about 2 hours now, isn't it?
Well, you're not going to give it a sitting down ever.
Ever.
So what's the point?
But don't worry, I'll find a point for it. I was so impressed with this behavior.
No, it's
Us
good.
pregnant people know, you see. Pregnant, game recognizes game, pregnant recognizes pregnant, yada. She's like proper pregnant, but I'm not that far off, so
You're saying it's upside down, the writing's supposed to be on the top.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, is that what has happened?
Yeah.
No wonder. Alright, I don't do my full bestie, but there we go. Jazakumullah khair. Shout out for Helen Ox, anyone wants to, it's really good, this is. Super light, stick it in your bag. Or special for all the aunties and things. By the way, I want to tell you that, those who, Usman's here, isn't he? Last year, our auntie Rabia joined us, and we carried her thingy everywhere. In fact, not just we. I think, actually, to be honest, Mazita, I think, carried it probably for the whole of 20 days. And I did whenever. I nearly got arrested because hers was a proper stall. You know the stall that you see in the haram. But her one had the Union Jack on it. Right. Check this. This is true story. This is true story. Look at the qadar of this. This is the Three Cities program. We've just finished Aqsa. We've finished Medina. We've been prepping for our Umrah. Massive, we all enter. Large number of us. Fizza, who's online now, she was with us as well. And we come into the main gate of Malik Fahad. All right. And I'm the normal default is I'm carrying the store, right? But it's bright and it's fantastic and it's busy, and so I've done this with it. Yeah, that behavior. So now it's very high, very prominent, and everybody can see it. This is the exact day after. The day after the guy got arrested in the haram for wearing the Union Jack Queen Elizabeth thingamajig. Do you remember? There was a guy on social media, man. He was going around. Was it ihram or what was it? Like he was wearing some kind of tribute, yeah, to Queen Elizabeth, and doing umrah, doing tawaf or something like that on social media. and whatever, and you got proper hooked up beats and everything, right? Now, obviously, our intention was something entirely different. We were just using it so that people could see. And a copper grabbed me. He goes, "I'll give you 1 second to put that away." I go, "It's for my group, so that they can see." He goes, "Why are you flying the Union Jack?" I was like, "What did he mean?" Then I realized it, and I looked at the thing, and I see the Union Jack on it. I said, "Brother, good point. Good point." I said to Auntie, "You can hold your own stool now." So thank you. Anyway, alhamdulillah, I actually have some really good news. Good news, I think, for some people, maybe not some good news for other people. But today I was, for the last week or so, I've been really kind of going back and forth on this idea. And it took a lot of convincing in my head. And to be honest, I think it was I think Gaza, has tipped me kind of over. And so, inshallah, on the weekend of the 8th, 9th and 10th of December, I'm going to be teaching art in Manchester, on site, live, proper weekend class. And when I say to you that I am looking forward to Surah Al-Baqarah in a way that I've never looked forward to Surah Al-Baqarah ever, then that would be the case. And when I say that Bani Israel are being taken down in a way that their mum and dad have never taken them down, then Allah is my witness, that's going to be the greatest honor ever. So, that's just an announcement. It's not live yet. I only made the decision about an hour ago. The people who know how to twist my emotions did it very well. And the local Qabila, I have to say, put a very good proposal forward in terms of making it a class worthy of attending. So inshallah, 8th, 9th and 10th, tell the people that missed it. Obviously we did it online, but I do think that it is a unique experience with respect to the Quran and understanding it. Alright, so that's inshallah Al-Maghrib single weekend class. Bismillah. We are starting with a new section. You know what happened last week, by the way? It ran on a little bit, right? An hour, kind of 20-ish. Without any exaggeration, I think Mesa was complained for 1 hour. For one constant hour. Just constant moaning, arguing. I can't believe you did that, this. I told you I'd get in trouble, didn't I? I didn't realize that much trouble. But what I also inadvertently did by making it an extended lesson is that I did 2 lessons actually. 2 lessons worth, I covered in one. And so I realized that I didn't have any translated notes ready for today because last week's second part was meant to be this week's lesson. So I'm just being honest with you and squaring up. That's the reason why we don't have any translations. And Shazad, he's left that whole kind of, monitoring the whole situation game. He doesn't care about notes, this, that anymore. As you can see. In fact, I guarantee you guys, if you keep an eye on Shaz, that he walks out of the lesson today. In fact, I guarantee that Shaz won't even study this week's lesson. How about that? Just keep an eye on him. I don't know. He might prove me wrong. He might prove me wrong. I don't know. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying. So we are in a new section. It is so there's no notes in the thingamajig section on the website, but we do have it here in the commentary. So I'll just cover it. In the commentary, it's 347 fasl, chapter, subsection, I would say. The author says, alayhi rahmatullah, Imam al-Hajjawi, he says, "Man safara safaran mubahan arba'at burud sunna lahu qasru ruba'iyya." That's enough. Rak'atain. Okay. That's more than what we're going to cover today. So nice and simple. The translation being, therefore, chapter, whoever travels a permissible journey, or whoever undertakes, or whoever sets off, I don't know, I need to think about it, but man safara, whoever travels, safaran, a journey, mubahan, which is permissible, intrinsically permissible, and travels that distance of arba'ata burud, 4 burud, it is a sunnah for them to what's qasr mean? I forgot what qasr means. Shorten their 4-unit prayer to 2 units. It is a sunnah for that person to shorten their 4-unit prayer to 2 units. that will probably be enough for 1.5 lessons, okay? Because we've got lots to talk about just in this introduction. All right, so let's kick it off. Man safara safaran mubaha. The first word is man, whoever. So therefore, it's not specified to certain people, which is important. You might think, why would you even mention that? Who is who? But this includes man, woman, young, old, meaning that the concession, quote unquote, is available for everybody, right? And it's not restricted. Why would that be significant? Because there is, of course, an opinion that women should not be leaving the home, right? Unless absolutely necessary. And of course, that's not something which is incorrect. However, when you find a generic phrase referring to a concept in this conceptual way, it's of benefit that everyone starts on an equal kind of playing field before you start to then applying restrictions. And every time that you want to restrict something, for example, restricting a woman from traveling, we need to now bring an evidence. So it's good that we always start on a, as I said, a neutral footing. Man safara safaran mubaha. That's the first thing. The second thing is the word safar. What does safar mean? I think in Urdu we call it safar, yeah? Right? Pukhto we call it safar. Punjabi it's safar. What about some of the more other non-thing? What do they, in Singapore, Malaysia, what do they call travel? Safar? At all? Any other countries? Do we have any experiences? I think it's a universal word. Anyone know why a safar is called, I mean, what does safar mean? It means traveling, it means a journey. In fact, we'll get a bit more accurate in the first place. Remember, when it comes to fiqh, what do we normally do? We translate a word linguistically first, so we look at it from a lexical point of view. Then we look at it from a technical point of view, and then we give it its actual meaning, right? Sometimes the literal and the technical are the same, and sometimes the word technical means the actual meaning, but the point is that a word can be translated in a number of different ways, right? It can be understood in different ways. So before we give the actual definition of what a journey is, i.e. X miles from X location to X location, that's what we need to hear when you want to define proper, what does travel mean? What does safar mean? So if I say to you guys what safar means, right? Let's do that. Let's work backwards. If I said to you, put your hands up. What do you think, how would you translate the word journey or safar? In fact, don't use the word journey. Use it in your own language. When you hear the word safar, what do you think it means? What do you understand? Yeah.
Traveling a distance.
A distance. Who's going to define it? When and how and who defines the distance? Because that's not a correct... you see, when scholars sit there to try to get a legal definition, they start with something like that, then they scratch it out. They realize that's not fit for purpose. Because I can travel from here to there, that's a distance, that's not a journey, right? So we need a proper legal definition. Yeah.
Is it classed as like a hardship?
So we need more than that, because obviously travel is not a hardship. Travel has got to be something with hardship, right? So what would the definition be? Yeah?
Traveling, that's something more than the norm that puts you outside of your daily thing. So your normal commute might be an hour, but traveling an hour somewhere else where it just takes you out of your comfort zone.
Traveling a distance more than your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not going to lie. If I go around the corner from my house, I'm out of my comfort zone, bro. I'm not going to lie. So, you made journeying really easy for me, bro. I think this is good exercise, right? I think Aminur says, traveling a distance outside the norm of day-to-day habitual travel, which is pretty much what you were trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, day-to-day habitual travel. Obviously, again, not fit for purpose, because is that work, or what does habitual travel actually mean? I found interesting, in Swahili is safari, interesting. What's it called? Lama has said trip, which I also like, if you're going to be really using minimal words. But yeah, go on. Shazad, you had one? No? Anybody else got an idea of safar? If I said to your uncle, what safar, what would you say? What's safar?
Traveling.
What does that mean? Traveling what? I can travel from here to my car. That's not safar, right?
No.
So what if I said to you, define to me travel? Explain to somebody what travel means.
I think it is 60 miles, something like that.
So you definitely want to bring distance into it?
Yes.
and you'd want to be putting about 60 on the clock. Yeah, all right, fair enough. Yeah.
Maybe if it spans the time of the salat, so if it takes you from Zuhr to Asr to travel.
So using certain kind of using things, items, moments, and in this moment, in this example you're giving, the prayer times. Okay. Yeah, with that goes what was Sheikh Ihlan's opinion, being far from home and not having access to a fridge, right? Which is a different town, a different area. What's really interesting is that none of you have mentioned the start point, which is very interesting. Because if, for example, we were amidst a proper journey, yeah, which is kind of cheating, but let's say you were, and you travel from the petrol station to a petrol station 50 miles down the road, would that be a journey? From petrol station to petrol station, especially if you were not intending to stop at the second petrol station, right? That's also something to, is that part of the bigger journey? Is that, and so we'll talk about that. So this is why the, when it comes to definitions, first we have to understand it conceptually, which helps, which is why the Arabic language is so special, because it gives you that holistic look. Then you go through different people's interpretations of the legal to finally come up with the perfect technical. So who can tell me what linguistically safar means? Who can tell me what linguistically means? While you're thinking about that, Arij says leaving the city boundary. Simon says that going from one place, Simon was here last week, is she cheating? Don't blag. No, she's online, okay. Go from one place to another, typically over a distance of some length. That's from the dictionary. Go from one place to another, right? Typically over a distance of some length. Interesting. Labib said, whatever is regarded as traveling is traveling. So what the general community would consider to be a journey. That's good. Travel is, Warda says, this is nice. Travel is, if asked about, the answer is that they traveled. Which is good. Which is good. Anyway, yeah. Linguistically. Yep. Nope. Linguistically.
I think to use like a or something. Some other means other than like.
Nope. No. This is Arabic linguistically. Yep. It does. Where are you getting that from? Does it, yeah? Sephora. Is that taken from an Arabic word, yeah? I mean, is it taken from... I mean, obviously you hear the word Sephora, but... Safoor, did you say? Correct. That's correct. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالصُّبْحِ إِذَا أَسْفَرَ. Right? وَالصُّبْحِ إِذَا أَسْفَرَ. Surah Al-Mudaththir, yeah? What does that mean? Remember that what that ayah means? وَالصُّبْحِ, the morning, إِذَا أَسْفَرَ. What does it mean? When Allah swears by the morning, وَالصُّبْحِ إِذَا أَسْفَرَ, by the morning when it becomes apparent. And you can say when it brightens, when it becomes exposed, when it becomes clear, when it becomes obvious, right? That's what isfar means. We have many hadith about the Prophet ﷺ being told that the Fajr prayer is from when it's utter darkness with just the crack of dawn until the isfar, until the morning is so bright that it's almost like as if the sun has come up, but it hasn't. You know that just before sunrise moment? And it's very surprising because an hour ago, or an hour 20 minutes ago, it was completely dark, right? And so suddenly, so this is isfar, from asfar, yusfiru isfara, right? So safar means to become clear, to become bright, to become obvious, to become known, to become exposed after being hidden. That is the linguistic meaning. Now that you know the linguistic meaning, yep, Maryam said uncovering, well done. Bilal said brightens, very good. And in Urdu we do use safar that way. If we had to travel extra to get fuel, we'd say I found fuel after so much travel. Yeah. So now tell me if anybody can make a link between the technical definition of travel and the linguistic one. Can anyone see a link? Remember, that's obviously where the beauty of the Arabic language comes through, right? Being able to explain the etymology of words by understanding the linguistic and now why people use it for that purpose. So the word itself means to brighten, or to become clear, to become obvious, to become known, to expose. Expose actually is a really good one, right? So what is the link to the actual meaning of the word journey or travel? Safar.
Traveling takes you out of your comfort zone. It exposes you.
Carry on.
Going along the lines of Sheikh Hassan, I need a fridge if I'm traveling, so it exposes you. So anything that takes you out of your comfort zone, essentially.
You're kind of there, but you're not saying enough, in my opinion.
Does it have to be linked with the hardships of hardship?
Which,
With traveling, if you're traveling, you go into a distance.
which, therefore, what's that got linked to the safar, the word safar?
You're at
The
risk.
linguistic, huh?
Are you at risk?
You just bring
No, not at risk. What's that?
Is it when you just bring your bare necessities?
No, I don't think so, no. Sheikh Uthaymeen says on the top of 348, he said that it has, some of the scholars, إنما سمي سفر سفرا لأنه يسفر عن أخلاق الرجال. It exposes the true character of a person. And people are really discovered who they are when they travel. Which when we now hear it, we're all like, yeah, that's exactly true. And that's what the scholars used to say. You don't know someone unless you've traveled with them, right? And they said, have you traveled with a person? Have you? Yeah. So the judges, when they used to like ask for a character witness, and he'd say, yeah, I know him to be a good person. They'd ask, have you traveled with this person? If he said no, he goes, you don't know him. Have you? Have you transacted with him, like done a business deal? Has money got involved in between you guys? If the answer is no, you don't know him. You only know a person when money gets involved between people, and you only know a person when you've done safar with them. And the concept of safar here means prolonged time outside of a comfort zone. That's why safar was there but not there, right? So we need a person to be coming out. In fact, he says something very nice here. He says that I saw it, what did he say? شخص في بيته يكون مكنون. أيوة. فبدلا من أن يكون مكنونا في بيته أصبح ظاهرا بينا بارزا. Alright? He goes, لأن الإنسان, when he goes on a journey, he exposes himself. Because when he's at home, he's protected, he's covered, he's hidden, he's unknown, nobody knows what's happening. SubhanAllah, literally I said this to someone yesterday. I went to visit someone who was not well yesterday, hadn't seen for a good couple of months. I'm telling you now, the guy's lost so much weight that I thought that he lost half his body weight. Meaning that if he comes out now and exposes his situation, people will be shocked. But people are communicating with him, conversing with him all the time, whatnot. And nobody actually knows because nobody sees him. But when you see him outside, you'll be like, wow, the reality becomes clear. Because home is protective. So Sheikh says that when he comes out min baytihi asbaha zahiran bayyinan bariza. He becomes clear, obvious, well recognized and understood, no hiding place at all. So Sheikh then says, you only really understand who people are when you travel with them, and the judges would always make sure that you really have done something to see this person, not just outside of the comfort zone, but a long period of time. He goes, back in the day, it wouldn't be that we would not call a person that travels from Riyadh to Jeddah, which is absolute miles away, and say that person has gone on a safar in the old days kind of lingo. Because in the old days, the whole point of that would be the 10 days that it would take, and then you'd get to know them, see them in various situations, tested and trialed and all the rest of it. If you jump on a plane and it's done in an hour and a half, you haven't learned anything. You've learned nothing whatsoever. So the whole point is about getting to see people outside of their comfort zone, trying to deal with that. Anyway, the second thing he says is that it's got to be, that he said that our author has said that it's got to be a safar mubahan. It's got to be a permissible journey. He goes, this is interesting because obviously there are 5 possibilities for a journey to take. It can either be haram, it can either be makruh, it can either be mubah, it can either be mustahab, or it can either be wajib, fard, right? So it's haram, disliked, permissible, disliked, or obligatory. That's what everything can be. And therefore a journey can be the same. The Shaykh then goes, so for example, a safar, to do something haram, is itself haram. That's the way to understand what a haram journey is. And he goes, and one example of a safar which is haram, what's he going to say? Classic Saudi opinion, straight off the bat. What do you think his first example would be? Yeah, that the woman traveling without a mahram, which of course is a very it is a serious matter. It's not an easy matter to resolve, obviously, because the hadith on the matter are clear that a lady is not allowed to travel the distance of a day and night without a mahram, right? And this is the position of the vast majority of scholars as well. A minority consider this, and Shaykh Uthaymeen of course amongst them, a minority consider that the distance is not what was important. I have a video on this, so I'm not going to repeat that whole thingy. You can find it on Faith IQ, and it's something to do with, I think, can a woman go for Hajj? I think something like that. Does she need a mahram for Hajj or something like that? I can't remember. But I went into a lot of detail, and we covered a number of the athar and ahadith, which in my mind make it very clear that it's not about the distance and about the time, but about guaranteeing her safety. This is when it comes to obligations, meaning conditions. Absolutely not a shadow of a doubt that it is highly recommended and the sunnah, and one should not actually travel without a mahram. However, is it something which is an absolute obligation that a woman cannot leave without, even when she's safe? I don't believe so. That's my personal opinion. But should a woman always have a mahram? Yes, I believe so, 100%. So that's an example of a haram journey. Example of a haram journey is going to Las Vegas to go to, gamble. It's to go to, Manchester City Centre to go to the pub. To go, whatever it is, but when it has a impermissible aspect, then the journey becomes impermissible itself. The point being made here is that a qasar or safar will not count this as safar. That's the whole point. Could be 1,000,000 miles that you're traveling, but you're not traveling. That's the whole point here, right? And then makruh, for example, Shaykh Uthaymeen says that a person traveling by himself, that is makruh, and that's a very popular opinion amongst the scholars, because again, it's linked to the previous point, the beginning that we said, that when a person's traveling, they're exposed, they're at their weak point, they're by themselves often, the people who know them best aren't around, people can fall into haram a lot easier, and therefore having company is something which is blessed, a protective kind of state. Is it just in the tarbiyah programs that we speak about bathrooms and being alone, or did we speak about an LP? About what a big problem it is that people, isolate themselves a lot. And that why it is in the bathrooms we seek refuge from shaitan, al-khubath wal-khaba'ith. This kind of scenario. And the fact that we've made the bathrooms very, very comfortable, carpets and pot puree and puri or whatever it's called. Is it pot puree or puri? Pot puri. We're simple people, yeah. We just got on those. Yeah. And lights and all the rest of it, marble, blah de blah. People chilling in there, bro. And people don't realize that isolation and thingy is only for the very, very disciplined folks, very, very disciplined people. That's why, as an act of worship, those who are able to practice al-i'tizal and technically al-i'tikaf, are the higher echelons of the human beings. Those that it's no surprise that monasticism and that whole kind of concept is not very much an Islamically praised one, because it's very, very difficult, very unnatural. That's the key. It's an unnatural position, right? And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said that the lone sheep is always the one that's preyed on upon by the wolf, right? That's why the Prophet ﷺ said that the hand of Allah is with the jama'ah, right? That's why we are Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. We don't practice this deen in isolation. So being isolated is not good. It's not good, ever. So this is a nice point that he makes there as a good reminder. The permissible journey would be tourism, or to go and take a vacation or a break. That's something which is permissible. And if there are certain aspects in it, like family and the like, then it becomes recommended and obligation. It gets upgraded as appropriate. And then he goes that to go on the journey for your first Hajj, that's obligatory. To go on your second one, that would be an example of something which is recommended, mustahab. So these are different kind of examples that describe the kind of categories. Now, here's an interesting thing. Sheikh says, if we go with the author's statement here, that the only time that you can pray 2 rak'ah in your journey, instead of praying 4, do qasr, is if you are on a permissible journey. That means that if you are on a haram one or a makruh one, think about it now, traveling by yourself, you are not allowed to do qasr. Okay? If you are on a haram journey or you are on a makruh journey. وعلى هذا فلو سافر الإنسان سفرا محرما لم يبح له القصر. Especially if he does a haram journey, it is not allowed for him to pray qasr. Because, and here's the thinking behind it. Look what he says. لأن المسافر سفر the person who travels out of disobedience and does yani haram by that, how is it right that we give him a concession in the religion when he's doing something haram? You get a point? Yani you don't give concessions to people who are doing things haram. Concessions are a bonus. And in the rukhsa tashilun wa taysirun al mukallaf, yani the whole point of a concession is that it makes things easy and blessed for the one who is legally held accountable. And he doesn't deserve it, Sheikh says. He doesn't deserve a concession, and for this reason, he is prohibited from taking this concession, and he is prohibited from the concessions of journeys. So therefore, he's not allowed to do qasr. He's not allowed to wipe on his khuf for 3 days, his socks for 3 days, basically. He's not allowed to break his fast, so he has to fast. Where's Shazad when we need him? Has Shazad gone? What did I tell you? What did I tell you?
Where is he gone?
I'm telling you, bro. But he better be listening in the car, because I'm telling you now, yeah, if there's one guy, astaghfirullah, I don't know what I'm going to say. Right? He's not, we can't say that. Okay. Huh? So, Sheikh says that all of these, and he's thrown, and what's crazy is that he's included the makruh in there as well. So not just, because obviously, why? Because the author has said, mubah, permissible. So therefore, it has to, you can't have these two. Sheikh goes, but the solution to this is easy. He goes, when you're in that haram journey, make tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He goes, so you might not have been able to do qasr on the way there, but at least you can do a qasr on the way back. He goes, you can say astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh, and now I'm going to go back and I'm going to do qasr on the way back. So because now, he goes, your haram journey turned back into a permissible journey on your way back home, which is an interesting point. Here's the fiqh now. Shaykh Uthaymeen says, however, Abu Hanifa and Ibn Taymiyyah, they went a different direction. And I love this. They said, and he goes, actually a number of the scholars, he said, quite a few of the scholars, he said, Shaykh Uthaymeen says, he goes, who put this as a condition for traveling? Who put this as a condition for shortening the prayer? Where did it come from? It's not a condition. Permissibility of the journey in of itself, intrinsically, is not a condition of shortening the prayer. And therefore, it is permissible for any person to shorten the prayer, even if he is in a haram journey, or journeying only for haram reasons, or whatever he's up to, whatever his plan is. And the reason, what do you think? What do you think the reason is? Come on, think outside the box. Either think outside the box or think in the realm of hadith. We have a very clear hadith on this matter. Yeah. He might change his mind. Okay. All right.
Just
Fiqh salah, folks, yani not answering deserve beats. Like proper beats.
it might not be the answer, but
If anyone wants to know why we keep teaching the same class every couple of years, this is your answer. If anyone says, oh, Quranic art, we studied that in 2021, don't let me challenge you until you give me 2 examples from the class out of 35. Yes.
Just because you do one thing wrong doesn't mean that everything else should be wrong.
That's not bad. Just because you've done one thing wrong, it doesn't mean... Hold on, wait. What? Just because you've done one thing wrong...
So if your journey is haram,
Yeah.
it's sunnah in itself to shorten the prayer in the journey.
Right.
So you should get the reward of doing the sunnah acts, even though you might be doing the haram thing separately. You get the punishment for that.
That's fine. That's fine. But that's not. I don't think that's the question I'm asking. Although I have actually now forgotten the question I asked. No. What's the question I asked? What is the evidence for it not being a concession? Is that what I asked? Yeah, that's what I said. What was the question? Yeah, go on. Okay.
Because if you're committing haram, it means you've already lacked that discipline to
Make it easy for that person anyway. You're a harami kind of guy, you know, so let me just make things easy for you. Just pray too. I love that. What a sick line. Yes.
Is it specified like in the hadith if it's actually, does it talk about like a journey that a person like, as in like a person takes a journey, does it like categorize it into
No.
a person who do something
Nope.
or something bad?
Nope.
haven't we said before it's a privilege to pray?
It is, but nope.
And it felt like by
Nope.
not letting them shorten, you're punishing the person by reading a full prayer.
Astaghfirullah. Nope. I can't believe it. I honestly can't believe this. Ismail says, just because it's haram, it does not mean you are not in safar. Fair enough. Regardless of the reasoning, you still have to fulfill the fard of prayer, hence the concession still being allowed. You're fulfilling an obligation in salah, so the concession still applies. Concession, some scholars necessitate shortening. They don't allow it. They don't allow taking it as an optional concession. It's more of the way to do it. I'm really surprised because I mentioned this clearly in the fiqh salah. Yeah.
So the verse of Qasr, doesn't it stipulate there has to be fear? And Umar asked the Prophet that if fear is not present, or it's still short, and the Prophet replied that Allah loves it when He gives a concession music. So He stipulated that specifically in this case there don't need to be additional conditions.
Which is very good, what you just said, that the verse of shortening in Surah An-Nisa, when Umar asked the Prophet ﷺ that this is of course about fear, but we're not in fear anymore, Ya Rasulullah, and Allah gave that concession as the Prophet ﷺ said. But that was a concession, and a clear concession for what? For fear, for war, right? Now, the question I'm asking is, why does Ibn Taymiyyah and Abu Hanifa and these group of scholars not consider the actual shortening of the prayer to be a concession, even in the first place? Correct. Bilal has answered the question. There we go. This is the hadith in Bukhari narrated by Aisha radiallahu anha, where Aisha said that when the prayer was originally obligated, it was obligated as 2 units. And then it was, finish the hadith. You can remember the hadith. And then it was increased to 4 for those who were resident. And for those who were traveling, They prayed the prayer in its original form, i.e., we're not giving a traveler a concession. Actually, the people who are traveling are praying the actual prayer properly as it originally used to be. You get the point? If that's the case, then Ibn Taymiyyah and all those guys, they argue that we're not giving a concession, so you don't need to get all moral and ethical about this guy's doing haram or not, whatever. The simple fact that he's traveling means that he prays less. We're not doing him a favor. That's the actual nature of the prayer in travel. Does that make sense? It's a very interesting and accurate argument. I have to say that it's a fascinating point. All right? Anyway, so according to this position then, it is allowed then for the person that is on a haram journey to pray 2 units, and he doesn't need to worry about whether it's permissible or not permissible. And Shaykh Uthaymeen himself, he goes, I consider this to be a very strong statement. I think this is really good, and the evidence behind it, the logic behind it is great, and really the Safar only has 2 rak'ah obligated, other than of course Maghrib. And Maghrib, there are differences of opinion, whether Maghrib was 2 and increased to 3, or whether it was always 3, which is a stronger opinion. It was always 3 and it remained as 3. So that's a position which is good. And the hadith of Aisha is there on the next page, 350, hadith number 350. So that's very good. Anyway, and then Shaykh Uthaymeen ends with, and you can see that he likes his position. Then for completion, he mentions a third opinion on the matter, where he says that actually qasr is not allowed except in a religious journey, meaning that which is about obedience and worship. So Hajj and Umrah and Jihad and these kind of, and to visit the parents, these kind of things, right? And actually their position is that in a permissible journey there is no qasr, and there is no, obviously not in haram and makruh as well. Basically the exact opposite of the previous opinion. The exact opposite. He goes just to be complete. But anyway, I do like this position. The class position is indeed that it is not a condition that you are on a mubah journey. Yes, it's the Hanbali position, but our class position and Shaykh Uthaymeen's position is that one doesn't need to, because actually qasr is not a concession in traveling. It's a concession, as our brother said, in other realities, in other situations, difficulty, hardship, when you're going through some problems, meaning difficult hardship to war level, then it's a concession, but not in travel. Now, the author says that man safara safaran mubahan, whoever travels a permissible journey, it is sunnah for them to shorten their prayer from 4 to 2. If they travel a permissible journey of 4 burud. Burud is a plural of the word barid. Barid, what do we mean by barid? Who knows what barid is? Code? Oh, cold, as in bard. You're right. Linguistically, bard means cold. Barid is the postal service, right? Postal service. Now, who knows how the postal service used to work? I'm sure that I've seen an American film somewhere, cowboys and Indians job, I think that's the only one that I've seen where they do it. No? They have stations, right? So if you want to get a message to, people are 100 miles away, your horse and your guide takes in a sack your message. That's the whole concept of the post. Legs it all the way down, and they meet this like halfway, through the day, come to the station, and they give over the sack. These guys chill now, fresh guy, fresh horse, then he legs it to the next one, and you just have these stopping kind of points. And I think that's how post offices started, I think, and maybe even telegram systems or whatever. But that's how it was always done. And so that's how important and urgent messages was sent to people, not one person, but these stages. And that's why some people translate the word barid as stages, right? But I want you to understand that kind of concept of old school postal, by just keep passing it on until it eventually gets to the last person. But it's got there very, very quickly, right? That's where that's where it comes from. All right, and Sheikh explains that, and then he goes, the way that they would measure it is by half a day. So each barid is a half a day's travel on a horse, legging it all the way basically until it gets to half the day, somewhere around about kind of midday-ish, right? But before then, frankly, because it's got more hours in the morning. And you would then hand over. Then the second part of the day to the next stop is another barid. So we have the barid and a barid and a barid and a barid. 4 burud, okay? 4 of them would make then 2 days of travel. So if you're looking at it from a distance or a time point of view, here we're talking about time, then it's 2 days of travel on a horse. That is what the author, the Hanbali position, is starting here. Now watch this develop, okay? If a barid is the distance of half a day, then 4 burud will become 2 days. And when وَقَدَّرُوهُ بِالْمَسَاحَةِ الْأَرْضِيَّةِ بِأَرْبَعَةِ فَرَاسِخ, then they decided that time basically needs distance now, actual ground distance, land distance. And so one barid, is 4 farasikh, which is the plural of the word farsakh. And 1 farsakh is 3 miles. So, how many farsakh do we have in 4 burud? 4 burud? No, 16, right? 4, 8, 12, 16, right? So 16 farasikh. And each farsakh is 3 miles. So 16 times 3, and that's where you get the whole 50 miles, 48 miles, 49 miles. This is where it comes from. So if you've ever wondered, now this isn't just a Hanbali position, this is the position of nearly all of the fuqaha, which is very interesting, yeah.
Why a horse and not a camel?
I don't know the answer to that. I think it was because it was not based upon leisurely travel, but more on the basis of postage. I don't know the basis for that. But let's just go with this for a second. And Sheikh says that, and a mile, or mil in Arabic, is 1,600 meters. Okay? i.e. 1.6 kilometers. Okay? That's now giving us a clear idea. Now, obviously, these there are differences, just like those that have studied pure pesa. We spoke about the dinar and the dirham and the variances because it goes by weight and it's not a very exact science. Yeah. So today, if you look at do you remember when you do? I know some of you have taken a class, but remember when we work out zakat each year, and we give 2 nisabs. We say the Hanafi nisab, and then the other 3 imams. And the Hanafi nisab is just nisab, just a little bit, more, right? And that nisab, when people are trying to work out why would it be more, it goes all the way back down to what they originally considered to be the weight of the coin in the first place. And now the weight of a coin, we don't have the ability to be able to go back to the time of the Prophet ﷺ to find those coins. So how are they doing that? They were looking at the time of the Sahaba and Tabi'een when coins started to get minted, collect a few and try to see if they could be standardized at all and whether we can agree upon an actual weight so that we can say that now we can regulate an actual, a weight conversion and the like. Likewise with distance. That's why you'll see 49 miles. Well, how does 49 come out of something which is 3 times 16? Well, if you want to say that a mile is 1.6 kilometers, you've heard of a Roman mile? Right? There's these different kind of regional variations. And these little variations, that's why when someone asks me, I always kind of just check out 50 miles. You know what I'm saying? Just straightforward 48, 49, 50 miles. It's a rough figure. This is, as I said, according to the majority of scholars. Let's just finish this point. He says that in terms of the time, and it's actually interesting because even though the barid, Sheikh Uthaymeen says that the barid concept is based upon a horse rider, because no one's going to go on a camel to get a message, right? It's going to be quick. He goes, but from a distance point of view, the scholars consider it the distance covered by a camel in 2 days. A camel. Alright? So that's what a zaman is. If you're looking at it from a time point of view, what a safar equals, 2 days on a camel. That's a lot less than what a horse will do. And it fits more to 48-mile kind of paradigm. Because a horse, knocking straight out, will probably do 100 X miles, it would, easily. Right? But a camel won't. And also qasidan, Sheikh says, meaning that it's a normative one. So not traveling all night and all day kind of behavior, and not stopping every 5 minutes, break. No, normal most of the day, sleeping at night, not stopping every more than once or twice. So normal average journey. So basically, a journey is what? According to the classical scholars, according to all 4 schools of fiqh, according to the majority of scholars, is 48 miles, or it's 2 days of normative travel on a camel. Alright? On a camel. Sheikh then says, the way that our author, Imam al-Hajjawi, Sheikh says, has said arba'at burud, 4 burud, he's basically saying that if you do one handspan less than 4 burud, you can't do qasr. Because he's made it very, he didn't say nearly 4, roughly 4, he said 4 burud, 48 miles. So if you do 47.6 miles, you can't do qasr. That's it. And that's what we got to say. And that's what Shaykh wants to say to these folks. He goes that you're not whatever. And وَمَا بَلَغَهَا فَهُوَ سَفَرٌ قَصْرٌ يترخص فيه ولو قطعه بنصف ساعة وقال ولو رجع في ساعته. He goes that, and also we want to say that a safar for them, it doesn't matter whether it's done in 1 second or not. So meaning that the 48 miles, if a person's able to get there and back in half an hour, or get there in half an hour, he still then prays and enjoys all of the qasr privileges. He goes, the correct position, Shaykh Uthaymeen says, sahih, is that there is no limit or defining restriction to the concept of safar, distance-wise. There is no had. Because as the author of Al-Mughni, who we know as Ibn Qudama, who is the Imam of the Hanbali school, he goes, this يحتاج إلى توقيف. He goes that when you're about to make a statement and say to people that this is a travel and this isn't, and travel or a journey is X miles, you need a definitive text. We don't have a single ayah, we don't have a single hadith, we don't have a single definitive statement or indication from the Prophet ﷺ that he said that. Let alone 48 miles, let alone 16 farsakh, let alone 4 burud. It's just not there. Rather, what we do have is so many statements of the companions and the tabi'een that are differing to one another and differing to this concept as well. And there is no way that a person can have a definitive proof of such difference of opinion. This is quoting Ibn Qudama. And this trying to specify a distance is going against the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and the obvious meaning of the Quran. وَلِأَنَّ تَقْدِيرٌ, and because when you want to set a value, this is not your area, this is the area of tawqif. It means it needs to come from Allah when you are wanting to specify an exact thing. So it's not permissible to go to any opinion of any single individual. He's pretty hardcore in this, as you gathered, right? And the real truth and the burning proof are with those folks who made permissible qasr in every journey that they set off on, that there is no ijma'a to its opposite. It's a killer statement at the end. I'll repeat that again. He goes, therefore, the actual safar and a qasr can be done in every and any single journey that a person undertakes in which there is not a consensus on the other side, that is not a journey. Think about that. So imagine if I said, when I go to Sheffield, I do qasr. Okay? Put your hands up if you disagree. I'm in Manchester, but for the folks online, in Manchester, Sheffield is, let's do miles, about 30? Anyone got an accurate take on that? No?
It's 40, 45.
Behave yourself, 45.
About 38 by road. I think 30 by the crow flies. There's about 38 and 35 days.
Bro, I'm a snakes pass kind of guy. That's crow flies as it gets. Right? I can do the 90 mile version and go all the way up there and go all the way across the M62 and come all the way down M1. Come on, hit me up.
40 miles.
40?
Yeah, you need to pick a more controversial.
Yeah, okay then.
616 to Meadowhall is 45 miles.
Bro, my guy just literally did the thing here and you're still arguing.
It's Meadowhall I'm talking. It always is on one side of Sheffield.
Alright, but here's the point, right? We're already arguing, see? So it's clear that there's no consensus on the concept of Sheffield. Right? So therefore, clearly it's allowed to be a journey. Do you get my point? Let's do a more controversial one. Let's do Liverpool. Now, the first question is, who on God's earth would want to go to Liverpool? You know what I mean? Let's get the obvious ones out of the way. Yeah, let's deal with the next ones, and then we'll do the legals. we'll do the legals in a second. Now, what we're saying about Liverpool. Is there anybody that disagrees that Liverpool is a journey?
Liverpool is the definition of suffer, isn't it?
Boom, boom. What are we saying here?
I mean, Liverpool's 38 miles.
No, it's not. I don't know what thing you're using. Are you using Waze, some bakwas or whatever?
Obviously, you're going to central Liverpool.
Are you using Google with tolls enabled? I'm not paying 1 pence. I bet if we go in these settings, he goes, don't warn me against any tolls. Send me 15 miles in the other direction as long as I don't go on a toll road. 32, right? Liverpool. 32 miles. Kilometers. Bro, she's saying 32 kilometers. Have you been reading kilometers all this time? I bet you have.
Look, 41 miles.
Don't listen to me.
Doesn't know what she's doing.
She has no concept.
She has no concept of time or distance. Your husband saying there's no sense of time, distance, nothing. So, sure, we're going there, are we? Alright. Okay.
But instead of cities, so 20 miles.
Okay, let's do long side. Now, come on. There's got to be some reward for going all that way.
You can't really process that.
So, the point is what? The point is that if the people, and when I teach fiqh of salah, you guys know what I say, right? My opinion about a journey is when you jump into a taxi and you want to go to that place, they offer you a set rate. That's my opinion. Okay? That's my personal opinion, which normally happens after 20, 30 kind of miles, right? If you say a certain place. Like if you were to say, for example, Bolton, I'm not sure whether they give you a set fare for Bolton. Do they? If you jump into a taxi in Manchester, anyone done that to go to Bolton? Yeah? I don't think they will, but for Liverpool they do. So from Manchester Airport, if you go for Liverpool, they won't put on the meter. They will say, that's a set charge, mate, £100, £75. You get what I'm saying? Yeah? So there are a number of personal opinions of what a journey is. That's why Sheikh Ihlan can come and say, I think it's being away from home where you don't have a fridge and things like that. You can make it all funky and get out and think outside the box. Yeah.
The people who do say 48 miles, do they specify round trip or is it literally two?
No, it's a two distance. Yeah. When they say 48 miles, they mean a two distance. Yeah.
We're obviously talking about sort of modern day times, but at some point there were people who were travelling just by walking from city to city.
Yeah.
Or if you're going from here to Longside,
Yeah.
walking, that's a bit of a distance. Is that suffer then?
This is, well, here's the thing, right? This is why, in my mind, there's absolutely no doubt that this is the correct opinion. That there is no distance for safar. But rather it is and this is now, don't ask me to repeat this again, okay? Okay? It is a multi-dimensional, complex reality that a person's got to have the confidence that they believe that they are doing a journey and doesn't need to be supported by anybody else. Okay? As long as you don't have consensus on the other side.
Is it a bit like when you're ill?
Is a bit like what?
You said the concession for being ill, that you think that you can't go to masjid.
Yeah. I think actually in most of these scenarios, this is the way to look at it. When we say something goes back to urf, to the local kind of customs and the local kind of understandings, it's pointless trying to, knuckle it down. When you hear the idea that bleeding that breaks wudu goes back to urf, that the distance of the illness that allows you to break the fast goes back to urf, that the distance that you need to travel so that you can take the advantage of being a traveler and all of the concessions that come with it goes back to urf. The first thing you should realize at that moment is that the matter is flexible, because there's nothing definitive. Otherwise, nothing goes back to urf if it's definitive. Get the point? So that's the first thing. The second thing you realize is that you are taking a risk. This is important. Because if things are going back to urf and you don't have that nice convenient 48 miles, nice convenient, 15 days of travel for like the Hanafis, for example, then you're going to be making a judgment call. And Sheikh mentions, when you're making a judgment call in these matters, what you need to remember what the asl is. Is the asl that you should be praying in full, or is the asl that you should be praying your qasr prayer? What's the status quo? What's the default position? The default position is that you are a resident, of course. The default position is that you are at home. The default position is that you're not traveling. Unless you are a Badu or, nomad or gypsy or whatever the phrase is that people are always traveling and they don't actually have a fixed home. What is that? What's that called? Travelers? Travelers, right? If you're a traveler that doesn't have a home and you're always moving, that's the tiny minority of mankind. Civilization normally is resident, and the exception is when you're traveling. And so therefore, a nice common sense thing is that when you have doubt about your state, then you revert back to praying a full prayer. And that's why it is useful to hear these little anecdotes from scholars and whatever that mention fridges, for example, right? Because a fridge is a level of luxury and comfort and stability. A fridge what will a fridge do? What do you think the main use of a fridge, or what do you think the main benefit of a fridge is? If we define a fridge, what does it actually allow you to do? No. No, that's technically, yeah, but I mean, what is the consequence? No, huh?
You can stay in a place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can remain hidden away for days. That's the whole point of a fridge. You got a fridge, you don't need to go out and see humankind. You get what I'm trying to say? You don't need to use Uber Eats, you don't need to get people to come to your door, you don't need to see people. That's the point, right? Now, what is a person who's a traveler? Person who is in a strange place, strange town, doesn't have stability, outside the comfort zone, desperate situation, having to ask people where to eat, having to ask permission to leave, having to use delivery services, and that could be not so far away. And it gives you, as I said, a little bit of a closer idea. Like, for example, when you go around and you're staying at a person's house, yeah? And you want a glass of water, and you got to flip and call the guy, bro, can I come get a glass of water? Is the coast clear? Do you know what I mean? I might as well let me be in prison. Bro, I'm telling you, man, if you need to ask permission to get a glass of water, right? Or send me some water or whatever. I'm not comfortable. I'm not at home. I'm not chilling. I'm not enjoying myself. Anyway, that was a very non-subtle but very good reminder. Well done. We've gone over our time. Let's do some questions, and then we'll thingy.
Sorry, on this thing, so is not one of the arguments that if the whole ruling is about making it easy for the traveller, the one is in difficulty.
Yes.
Travel,
Yes.
So if you use that argument, you could argue that the use of horses obviously at the time, today's travel. If we come to the modern day, the equivalent of the horse now is the car.
So we are going to develop this. Obviously, what Shazad is saying is that if the whole point of it back in the day is all the headache and the mess and the dirt and the dust and the time and the length, and today is just the exact opposite. You're driving and you don't even know what any different. You jump on, get off, done 100 miles, 1,000 miles, whatever. That's why I said a journey is a multi-dimensional, complex relationship of multiple factors. Difficulty is not the be-all and end-all. It would be a big mistake. I think that the main mistake by the majority of people is that they removed the concept of difficulty entirely, made it a number. And our mistake is that we made it the opposite, all about difficulty. It's a combination of both. And Ibn Taymiyyah is going to say a few interesting things. He's going to say, he's going to disagree with a lot of this. And he's going to say that where did distance come into it? Yani, where's the obvious point? What about if a person spends 8 hours in a 1 mile situation? According to Ibn Taymiyyah, that's a journey. A proper traffic jam, proper broken down, proper whatever, you're stuck there. When you get in, they were like, where have you been? 8 hours, whatever, whatnot, bro, it was a mission. The same statement that you'd say when you drove all the way from Manchester to London, man, it was a mission. Yeah. It is not easy, which is why the vast majority of scholars said 48 miles, don't give yourself a headache. And I'm an absolute card-carrying member of that school. Even though I very firmly believe there's no evidence for 48 miles, but I'm more than happy to give it to people out of mercy to them. It's like a mercy killing. There you go, son. 48 miles, don't kill yourself. Because he will kill himself, he'll kill me, he'll kill him. I might do this, that. Bro, the worst mistake I ever made was telling a person when he says about traveling that you work it out yourself. Because that person calls me then 15 times a day. Okay, I did this, but this happened. I got this. I said, like 48 miles, that's it. Once you've done 48 miles, it doesn't matter whether you got fridges or freezers or you got to go bloody Uber Eats or whatever. You're done, you're covered. Shamaila, yeah. But this is what we said, right? I mean, it's a concession. So therefore, if you are doubtful, then don't take it. It's not obligated to take it, right? That's something which we know. Yes, right.
Just going on from the same point. So a couple of scenarios. I travel to work, let's say, to Chittenden Hill. The shortest route takes me 45 minutes. But I travel to Liverpool and it takes me 45 minutes. Okay? Now, the distance is different in both scenarios. One is like less than half. I feel like I wouldn't be comfortable, even though it's taking me 45 minutes to get to Chittenden Hill to work, to pray a short prayer, even though it's taking me doing the same amount.
Sometimes longer.
Or sometimes longer, yeah.
That's the difficulty with the whole concept of the safar. You just gone and proven my point, right? That if we can agree that to go to Liverpool takes 45 minutes and it's 40 miles, 30 miles, and to go to Chittenden Hill is 5-10 miles and it's taking 45 minutes an hour as well, how can we say one is, we'll go with and the other one we won't? You immediately said, I don't feel comfortable. No, I don't feel comfortable either. And that's your safety kind of net, right? That's what we said that, and the irony is, well, not the irony, the truth is that if we ask everybody here, nobody will be comfortable with the idea that you doing a Cheetham Hill is going to work. And that's why I do think that his statement has value, that if there's a consensus on the other side against your idea of a journey, then we don't go there. Even if the same logic is applying, even if it's illogical, because it is illogical. Like, all of us are going to agree. Guys, is there anybody that actually disagrees? Cheetham Hill being a journey? No, right? Yeah? Girls? Yeah? We agree, right? So there you go. There's a consensus of all of us that do not accept going 5 miles, even if it takes an hour, to be a journey. Yet, all of us have to admit it's an illogical statement. It's just an emotional, it's a feeling, it's a knowledge, it's an experience. That's why when we say it goes back to urf, what are we actually saying? Legally, we're saying we don't have evidences. And when you don't have evidences, then of course the argument that you're making is weak. Because you don't have evidences. We're just going by the whims of people. And thankfully, and this is the bigger picture here, thankfully Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the confidence and the trust to be able to look after ourselves and not abuse it. And the people who abuse these things, they get found out very quickly. Not necessarily by others, they themselves find out very soon. So I know that this is a stressful thing, or because it's like, doesn't make sense. I know, I've been teaching this, the chapter of travel for 20 odd years. In 20 years of different schools, different eras, travel in my own time developing, different ways of expressing information, thinking of clever analogies and anecdotes. 20 years later, I'm not able to give you a definitive answer to the concept of travel. There just isn't.
Obviously, so, that's understandable, but when people say, like, it's similar to shorten the prayer whilst you're travelling, I'm in Liverpool, but obviously that was comfortable for me to get there. Probably more comfortable because it wasn't sat in traffic like I was getting to Cheetham Hill. Where do you kind of draw the line in terms of, okay, well, I should be following the sunnah and reading the two instead of, but that was comfortable enough for me to get there, so should I read four?
So this is why we said, right, a minute ago, the idea if a person is not feeling comfortable about when and where in these journeys they should apply the concession of shortening, that whenever there's doubt, you revert back to type. It doesn't need to be that complicated. Actually, we make it more complicated, frankly, right? We make it more complicated. Why? Because of a couple of things. Number one, we forget that the default position is full prayers. So just when you doubt, just pray full. The second massive mistake, which we're going to be covering obviously in a lot of detail, that people make is that they confuse between combining and shortening. The shortening of the prayer is hardly ever done. Combining is the one that we need and the one which is more important, right? As a tool. Shortening isn't. Shortening is honestly what? I mean, taking 2 minutes or 1 minute off a prayer? If you're not shortening the 2 recitation units, you're shortening the 2 empty ones. You know what I'm saying? It's like a minute off. It's not that much of a concession, which is why I like Ibn Taymiyyah's statement, that it's not a concession anyway. That's actually the type of the prayer that's in there. What's a proper concession? It's combining. Right. So we stress and stress and stress, and actually we realize we're stressing over the wrong thing. What we're really looking for is somehow a reason to combine. And you're going to learn in this class that combining doesn't require distance to be a concession. So we just get confused by all of these kind of things. Allah knows best. Right, questions? So an international student who is studying in the UK from abroad. I tell you one thing though, because we've not covered enough of the chapter, I think some of these questions are coming too early. We need to cover a few more. I think that we might just stop those kind of questions because that's not doesn't make sense. But Simon said that an average distance that a camel can cover in a day is 20 to 24 miles. So 2 days would be around 48 on the safe side. Interesting. That's approximate. Yeah. All right. Let's have... Oh yes, there's a couple of things I want to answer. This is a couple of questions here. So let's just focus on these. The first is the position on having lined graves. I'm going to a Muslim burial forum and it's one of the items on the agenda. When you say a lined grave, I think they mean concrete lined? That's what they mean, right? Is that what they mean? Yeah, that's not permissible in principle. It's only permissible if A, there's a legal requirement for them to be concrete lined, which is the case in certain areas. I think in Birmingham as well. Yeah, so there are a few places that they are obligated to. So that's legal, and so therefore you have no choice in that. So therefore that's okay. But in principle, when you have the choice, no. The second reason it's allowed is not if it's legally required, but because it is practically required. So in the areas that it's legally obligated, the reason is because of the clay, how soft it is, how horrible it is. You know, it's very, very wet, very, you know, whatever. And so in these places, there's some space for you to use such a grave. But I just want to say that whenever you're able to blag it, then you should. I don't think that you should worry too much about these legalities. For example, people are obsessed with the legality of burying in a coffin. Like as if anyone's going to come and open and check. Don't you dare give me an example and say, yeah, they opened up and checked.
Don't check it when the guys are there at the grave.
Which guy, man?
The guys, you know,
The other day, give them £5 and they're happy as Larry. Those guys digging, yeah, and you think you look in there, whatever, waiting for one coffee or one tea.
Mill Lane ain't gonna take no £5.
Mill Lane, £10. Yeah, they're obviously they're from Cheshire folks, innit? But honestly, I don't know, man. People make such a big thing out of it, and if you've got an opportunity to take your body out, obviously we'll speak about that in fiqh of death when it happens. But so that's that. So concrete lining is an example of something which is not permissible in principle, but if there is a real practical need for it, or legally you're obliged to do it, then you do it. My place of work is organizing a Christmas party. I wanted this to be answered here because now this is the time that people are booking this up now, right? So my place of work is organizing a Christmas party. Most of the employees are non-Muslim. They are organizing this in a restaurant which serves alcohol as well as pork. In the past, I've sat at a separate table with one other Muslim and ate the usual vegetarian fish, etc. How do I approach this in a Sharia compliant way? Now, the way to break this down is the following ways. First of all, is Christmas something which is completely impermissible to celebrate? And celebrate is a big word. Celebrate can be by saying Merry Christmas, or by giving presents, or by doing events, or by doing whatever. There's not a consensus on this, and the reason there isn't is because many scholars don't believe it has a religious connotation, but a more kind of capitalist one, more kind of consumer one. And that would be closer to the truth, of course, because actually no proper, real Orthodox Christian believes anything to do with the 25th of December being anything to do with Isa alayhi salam's either birth, resurrection, death, anything, right? So, you know, I'm not too fussed about the celebratory nature of Christmas. It's like Sunday, it's like Saturday, maybe a little bit more religiously charged, but not much more than that. However, the position of the majority is a safer one to avoid anything to do with it, and that's the correct and easy way to look at it. That's number one. Number two, that would be something which is very specifically on Christmas, for Christmas, religiously linked to Christmas, likewise. And so if a person is doing a Christmas party, per se, but doing it months or weeks in advance, and frankly then, that I don't care what anybody tries to say, that's not anything religious. If you're doing, I mean, imagine like, if you don't like that example, if I'm saying a Christmas party is completely halal to attend, are you saying astaghfirullah? Okay then. So I'll ask you a question. If you did an Eid party 1 month before Eid, would you call that an Eid party? Would that be an Eid party? I mean, it's ridiculous that a person will say, yeah, this is my actual Eid meal. This is you leveraging off the Eid name and happiness and having a shindig. That's what it is. It's just an excuse. So the Christmas party is nothing to do with Christmas at all. It's about people, holiday, happiness, blah, blah, blah. So that's another thing to consider. You've got to separate all of these out individually. The next is, of course, many people are not used to eating in a mixed gathering. There's nothing impermissible about eating in a mixed gathering, men and women. This is something which is permissible. It is isolation of men and women, man and a woman, which is haram, or a mixed gathering where the situation is going in the wrong direction. Yeah? In terms of talk and insinuation and whatever. That's the third thing, separately. The fourth thing is alcohol. The concept of alcohol is not impermissible to be in the presence of alcohol. It is impermissible, as per the hadith, to be seated at the table that serves alcohol. That's the technical facts. The rest of it is a moral, ethical, higher road type of approach. The fifth point is pork and any other haram food. It is not impermissible to be in the presence of haram food. The rest is about you being, again, ethical, moral, showing your deen, izzah. These are social matters, not legal ones. If you take all these five together, what that basically means is that I believe it's permissible to attend a work, colleague, Christmas party, etc., etc. If you are able to make an excuse, get out of it, then you just save yourself the headache. They're the worst events ever. So I've always blagged them when I was working in those kind of environments. But if a person goes, it is halal. They're not allowed to sit on the table that gathers it. They should make a point of it and say, listen, I'm just going to sit here because I don't sit at the table of alcohol, and you guys want to drink it, you knock yourselves out, literally, and I'm going to sit on this one here. All right. So that's the position there. But this question is slightly different. He says that Muslim company organizing it for their employees. Okay, because that's very common, right? Muslim a business, and a majority of the employees are whatever, and they expect such a gathering. Should that happen, this is now a bit different. All right, and for you to be the instigating party and the organizing body of going to a place where there's alcohol and the like, this is impermissible. You cannot be serving alcohol or allowing others and you be paying for it and the like. Eating in a place that serves alcohol but nobody drinking alcohol is something which is permissible. Not great PR, but it's permissible. But if you are then organizing it and having those people there and they're drinking at the table that you've paid for and you're paying the bill, what the hell's going on there? Right? So that's something which is completely impermissible. And you got to now then balance it in between and the like. I generally make a statement here and say that, when it comes to these things, right? Whether it's a Muslim owner or a Muslim company, or whether you're just a Muslim employee in a normal company, non-Muslim owners, whatever, people not really caring too much whether you attend, don't attend, whether you give the gift, don't give the gift, whether you say Merry Christmas or Happy thing. That's not what they really care about. I spoke about this the other time when it comes to family and, going to visit, etc. What they care about mostly is people thinking you're so tight and inconsiderate. You're stingy and inconsiderate. Meaning that when you offer to put on an alternative, so for example, listen, I forget Christmas or whatnot. Let's do a thing. Leave this to me. So if I'm the Muslim owner and I'm in that situation, when I used to run a department and it was all non-Muslims, and I say to them that I'm not really down for the Christmas thingy. It's horrible going there. Blah blah blah. Let me take you out properly, guys. Let me show you a proper thingy. I'll make your Christmas party look like a waste of time. And so I went, and on some random Friday or whatever it was, I said the thingy, and they all got ready, all dressed up. Everyone went to one of these restaurants, I can't remember where, had an amazing time, and eat our own food, own halal stuff, whatever, blah 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 blah. They didn't bring up the concept of Christmas ever again. What do they care about Christmas? Like as if they're flipping die-hard Christians. They couldn't give a monkeys. They just want to munch. Yeah, they want to munch, and the women want to get dressed. Those who remember Al-Adab al-Mufrad, you remember that I gave the example that I used to work with a lady. I said to her, I remember when I was imagine that you finish work at 7 o'clock and the meet time is at 8:30, right? And I said to the girls, I said, listen, we're literally going straight there. So don't bother going home and this, that, whatever. We're not dressing up. I ain't dressing up. No, we're dressing up, nothing. I turn up 8:30, Pat, she's 75 years old or something, right? Comes dressed to the nines, makeup, this, that, whatever. I said, what the fish is going on here? I literally said that don't bother, don't go to headache, don't this, that, whatever. She goes to me, listen, don't speak about any women. We love you and any excuse to go and put all that bakwas on, right? I learned a lot that day. Any old reason they just want to, whatever. So khalas. So the point is that they just want a replacement. So I think that's the way that you should look at it. Give something which is a halal replacement. And the final question, if I have a habit of making dua every time I give sadaqah, or finish reading Quran for any good deed for that matter, is that counted as being bid'ah? No, I don't think that is bid'ah. I think that's fantastic. This is إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. This is the exact definition of doing something which is an act of worship and then seeking Allah's help as a result of that act. I don't think you leave it. I don't think that you do that at all. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Alright guys, Jazakumullah khair. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant.